now let's bring in our executive director, Christina Gorczynski. Christina, you and I have the great pleasure of meeting often, talking about all these kinds of issues. And, you know, we talk about how proud we are as an organization that we've given over $7 million into the greater Austin area since 2003. But I have to think in my professional world, where we talk about how powerful the time value of money is, that if we had put just a little bit of that money into our own endowment, even, you know, a fairly modest endowment of $500,000 grows pretty quickly given the time value of money. And even with a conservative draw, that can provide that permanence that Sarah was talking about, which is allowing a draw off of that endowment to cover our operating expenses. So I'd love to hear you talk a little bit about how the endowment could really change the calculus of how you run our foundation, and really what is the business case, what is the Impact Austin case for the endowment?
Thank you so much, Susan. I know we have these conversations one-on-one all the time, so it's fun to have this conversation one-on-one, but with a lot of women who also are interested in learning more. So thanks for your dedication to the endowment. The movie of the summer, in my opinion, is definitely Hamilton. And there's a line in Hamilton where he says that legacy is planting seeds for a garden you'll never see. And so there's one way to think about planned giving and legacy giving, and giving to our endowment is about planting seeds that for years to come will best serve our organization. So as far as Impact Austin goes, we as an organization have really demonstrated for over our 18 years that we are committed to the concept of pooling funds collectively. We each year collectively raise dollars for nonprofits through our collective grant making that we do. Our annual contributions, each member's annual contributions goes to cover the grants that we distribute, and the additional operations contribution of our members, from our members, goes to support the administration, how we administer our grant making. All additional programming that we do, so the events we do, the various volunteer and leadership opportunities we provide, and special initiatives of Impact Austin, like the capacity building we've been doing lately, really, they require additional fundraising. So we as an organization spend time and resources to raise funds to do the incredible work that we do. And each year, as we know, part of our model is that each year at the end of a fiscal year, we hit reset and we start all over again. So we spend the time raising money for nonprofits through our annual contributions, and then also raising funds for Impact Austin ourselves to continue to produce our incredible programming. So when we think about long-term sustainability, Impact Austin has demonstrated for year after year that we are a sustainable organization, and we have a model where we are strong enough with the foundation that we're going to raise that money for the community. And in order to, so when it comes to sustainability, we've got annual contributions through membership dues, and additional fundraising that we do through our annual fund and our event sponsorships. When it comes to permanence, and in order to ensure permanence for Impact Austin, requires long-term investment in Impact Austin's endowment. And there are two examples I can give to illustrate how two other collective giving organizations have really effectively done this. The first is the Washington Women's Foundation. Susan and I and Nicole from our team went to Seattle earlier this year to meet with other collective giving groups. And in this exchange of ideas, when we met with the Washington Women's Foundation, they were founded 25 years ago, so they have about 10 years on us is learning these lessons. So it was like talking to ourselves in the future. And one thing they said was, if one of the things and a decision they made to invest in their endowment and to work with their members to make, to provide for Impact Austin in their planned giving and legacy giving, that they've built up their endowment to $4 million. And that is through several bequests and also from some members making contributions to the endowment. We have donors right now and members who do make annual contributions. Each one of our board members makes an annual contribution to the endowment. And as I'm looking at the participant list, quite a few of you are already making annual contributions. So through that $4 million, and thank you very much for that. Susan and our whole team is really grateful. But what the Washington Women's Foundation is able to do with that $4 million is they're able to draw 4% of that $4 million annually, which then covers about $170,000 to cover programming. So they have 4.5 staff members that do their grants coordination. So they have a staff member that is administering their grants to make sure that the volunteers still have a meaningful experience volunteering, but that volunteers aren't carrying the exclusive load of doing their grant making. They're able to produce 50 events a year for their members because they've got a full-time staff member focused on strategic partners and partnerships and programming. They have one staff member dedicated solely to member stewardship and making sure each member has the best experience to learn, to get involved in philanthropy in the same ways we encourage our members. So they cover their operations, they have additional funding to cover programming, and this is something that really is, it's huge to think about this accomplishment. It's also something that's really possible to us. So this would affect the way that we are budgeting for Impact Austin right now, in that we would have, rather than really working day to day on a daily basis to raise the funds needed to keep our organization stable, with an endowment, that for years to come, you're able to, we would be able to draw down on that. And one other quick example, I know we've got some questions, is with the Boise, Idaho Collective Giving Circle. And rather than primarily bringing in investments to their endowment through doing a big capital campaign or getting those really large bequests, is from the very beginning, they prioritized giving a little bit of each, investing a little bit of each member's contribution into an endowment that even at $900,000, what they've been able to achieve through those individual, that early history of their organizations and their founders to build out for permanence, with 4% on that, they're able to also have a staff member. So with whatever range and how we can build up our endowment, we will know for years to come indefinitely that garden is going to bloom, that whether or not you personally are able to donate hours of your time and individual resources year to year, that we have the ability to invest money that for years to come, we will be able to draw from and support long-term operations, long-term programming for Impact Austin, so that we know those funds our members are contributing are going right back out into the community.
Christina, thank you so much. You provided us a really great vision of a future that Impact Austin can have. And I know that since our operations certainly are more expensive than the $250 portion of each member's contribution, you will be happy for that day. So thank you.